We are starting back up again for two more presentations. So for Matt, who looks special tonight. Oh, I thought that was a shirt underneath. That's just
Good evening, my kind and fair ladies and gentlemen. I come to you guys this evening. Unfortunately, you put a teacher up here, so I think you're going to learn something today. I'm so sorry. Hopefully we'll learn something today. Before we get started, I'll put it up on there. We love our politicians, yes?
No.
Sometimes. We love our corporate business leaders, do we not? Well, they are overloads in our society, and they have reached the absolute apex, and we all aspire to be like them, do we not?
No! I want to be a firefighter.
Well, too bad, because you're already a leader.
Volunteer.
I did not.
This is so
Here we go. I did not program a freaking game like our friend here did, but I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with many wonderful pieces of work in literature. Instead, we'll introduce it for a little bit. My lords and ladies, today you will hopefully, at the end of this day, walk away from here with a degree more gravitas and understanding to master your environments and become lords and ladies in your own lives.
I'm excited.
This is the idea. And how to avoid looking like an absolute dunce and peasant, which we do not want to do that.
Yeah.
There we go. There's my thing. There's my transition. We begin with this suave motherfucker on the screen by the name of Niccolo Machiavelli. Yes. This none other. Born on the 13th of May, 1469, in the wonderful Republic of Florence, he has served her kindly and evenly through the years. He has left us a beautiful seed of wisdom in his wonderful magnum opus referred to as the Prince. Once again, like I said, I did not code anything, I did not do a whole lot of prep, but what I did do was I read the book because I thought it was a really interesting book. From that book, we will take some minor extracts to become, so that you can apply this to your own daily lives. And then we will apply them to our own contemporary princes that we see on our day-to-day. He was a diplomat, author, philosopher, historian. His life story, rather interesting. He was hired by the Medici family, hired again, got exiled, and then got hired again by them. And then in that time, he wrote a wonderful book about how to fuck over your employer, which is really, really interesting, which is basically the whole premise of the Prince. It was dedicated to his old boss's son, who he wanted to get a job back for. Anyways, so there's a critique of capitalism there somewhere. Anyways, moving forward, modern and oftentimes referred to as the modern father of modern political philosophy and political science. So, if we do not appreciate the way that our politicians behave, unfortunately, we have this gentleman to blame. So, and overall, he's just a really cool guy. Unfortunately, the term Machiavelli has been adopted from this guy's last name to mean sly, conniving, evil, which our politicians are never those things, right? This guy's pretty sweet. Look at him. What's wrong with him? He's just such a cute little guy. He's a really cool guy. He's pretty solid. What does he have to say about the nature of power and the idea of where we take that from? A few things we say. So these terms that we'll hear about, like the ends justify the means, that's this guy. That's where all of these ideas come from, and he's actually codified them and put them into a piece of work. Actions serve the greater good of the state. So again, this whole idea is that you are not it's not your person who's succeeding, it's the state. It's the ulterior motive you're putting towards it. Strategic thinking. Leaders must prioritize state stability over moral ideals. So again, we want to see that the state is above all, not ourselves, but the state is is above all things. And last but not least, pragmatic rulership. Again, morally flexible, but you have to be very pragmatic in the way that you're being a leader, right? You have to understand that when you are ruling, it's not a matter of, do you like the person, do you not like the person? There are morals, and we can't ignore them if we want to. There we go. That's fine. We'll ignore that because we want to get through this. So, two major ideas from his book that we want to take away. I read it. I'm summarizing it for you guys because we'll see what it is. Virtue. Not to be confused with virtue. Other virtue. It is also referred to as moral goodness, but moral political goodness and skill. So this could be personal capability, political wisdom, military prowess, anything that you are physically good at or talented at, that is referred to as virtue, right? That's his idea of virtue. You have to be very ingrainedly good at it, whether you've developed it or cultivated it. Second thing, fortune. That's everything else. That's lady luck. That's everything else in your life that's going to affect you and happen at random events, natural disasters, shifting, and the bane of insurance companies. Everything else that we have, unpredictable external forces. That's what we're working with. So, two major ideas we want to keep on moving forward. I want you guys to remember and think about these things because we will be looking at princes and how they interact with these two things. So, love versus fear. Is it better to be loved or to be feared? This is the iconic line. It is better to be feared than loved. Why is love overrated? Love creates loyalty, but it loses its trust when times get hard. Again, love's being overrated. It's okay. Do you really love your partner? Nah, it's not a weird. It's a power dynamic that you have with them, right? That's exactly the point, right? Like you. It's nice. It feels nice, but when push comes to shove, it is always better to be feared. That's what he teaches us, right? When it comes to the personal sphere, political sphere, any sphere, always better to be feared, of course. However, you don't want to be hated, right? As all good gaslighters will tell you, you don't want the person to actually hate you. You just want to make them concerned about you, right? That's where we get this idea from, right? This is a thing. This is where we get it from. Is this guy? Political manipulation. That's where he starts getting his reputation from it. Okay. So as Machiavelli concludes, one must choose provides. You know what? Forget it. We're gonna get over this. This is turning into more of a book report. I'm so sorry. We're learning some stuff. All right. The other interesting thing, we want to make sure that people like us, right? That's the whole thing. That's where we get our sociopaths from. That's where we want you guys. Everyone wants to be liked. Everyone wants to be liked, right? Everyone wants to be liked. It's all about your list. Exactly. That's the whole idea.
So bad.
So I'm so sorry. This is a lot of text.
You've got time.
There we go. Popular mandate. The idea that when our lords and ladies come into power, you are generally put in power by people beneath, or by inheriting a lot of power, right? When you inherit that power, you want to make sure that people appreciate and respect and enjoy your position where you are. Goodwill and maintenance, continuous efforts to serve popular interests. Again, we want to make sure that when we are in power, we're making people enjoy. We want to give them the circuses and the bread. We want to make sure that they're happy with their lives. And it enhances their stability. So on top of the idea of being feared and ruled, they don't want to challenge you, they just want to have good stuff from you, right? That's the whole idea. They're not going to question you if they give them good stuff. Yeah, so the idea here is that we want to make sure that we're cementing our power, we're cementing our control here. And that is the main ideas that we have here. Skip that quote, it's fine. So, flexibility of promises in politics. Again, when we consider ourselves as politicians and leaders, do we really keep our promises? Yeah, we don't need to. That's what he says. We don't really need to keep our promises if it's in the service of the state, right? Where'd we go? There we go. So, situational ethics. Favorite statement of the whole book. Situational ethics, right? It's only when it applies to you, and if you're going to be having some negative consequences, then you might be considered being ethical. If you don't have to, you don't need to. That's the best part of doing it. Credibility balance. This is the one that contemporarily we'll see most often, is probably the best, is while appearing trustworthy. Again, the whole idea, you could be the most slimiest scumbag in the world. You have to appear trustworthy. Again, you have to have that smiling, that guy that persuades the people to fall in love with you, right? It's the ability to perceive the credibility of balance, right? And last but not least, not morality, but political utilities that we're focusing on here, right? We don't really care about morals in this point in time, but if it's politically advantageous to have somebody on our side, we'll go for it, right? We don't ask too many questions. That's perfectly fine. So, what do we have here? Okay, so, I apologize. So, now we're going to start considering these different factors that we just talked about from our book, and we're going to apply them to a number of different examples. Rule number one for our princes, every prince needs to have a fanfare. I would highly recommend you, my lords and ladies, to come up with your own personal fanfare to announce into a room every time you enter into it, which I forgot to do for the other ones. But anyways, so, from our, oh my goodness, I didn't even put her up here. I'll find it up here. There we go. I think this is, yeah, there we go.
Hell yeah.
So, Our first prince that we're looking at this evening, Prince Charming, none other than of the renowned Shrek series that we're considering applying. What are the factors that we have going for him? He's incredibly charming. He depends entirely on appearances and charm, like we said. He has the appearance of credibility to the masses, and that is exactly what you're going for. However, still ends up failing in both Shreks. Why? He's overshadowed by the machinations of his mother. He does not have any internal machinations of himself to politically weave himself around the different problems. His Machiavellian score? Let's give him a 6 out of 10. He got there, he was this close, Unfortunately, he was overshadowed, and at the end of the day, he did not retain his power, which is the ultimate goal at the end of all of these. Okay, next one. Oh, my goodness. Oh no. Second one. Words. Christ. Okay. Second one. Oh. Here we go.
Never saw her
Our next prince. Not necessarily. The prince is a very loose topic. We don't consider this a quintessential example of a prince. Prince Crusoe of his empire. He is very keen on maintaining an imperial image, of course. He has his temple and his image. He has people dressed up in his image. He's very conscious of that brand of himself. Selfish, arrogant, dismissive of his people, which is qualities we all love because we want to make sure that we're fearing others, but not necessarily love. His confidence shows that he stays in control. He's always in control of the situation. He is able to survive a political coup of effectively being turned into a llama and potentially slaughtered, right? He gets out of that. That's an incredible way to outmaneuver his enemies at his court. Which again, we're not super duper confident because we have a meathead little wish with people wish. Unfortunately, his one weakness is that he doesn't learn compassion and he doesn't rescind the title of the throne. Barring that, we understand that compassion is not necessarily a good Machiavellian, not the best Machiavellian trait to possess. So he gets a Machiavellian score of, oh my goodness, 8 out of 10. Pretty solid, right? If only he didn't have the lovely bond of family connection, he could be a perfect Machiavellian. Okay. Let's see who's the next one. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this would be a friend. Oh, no. Hey. I forgot what order I put these in. I'm so sorry. There we go.
That's a fucked up little guy. Hear me out.
That's a little guy. But is he a Machiavellian ruler? Let us consider. He is in fact a master of spectacle. He keeps his subjects entertained and distracted, so he keeps them like a Bacchanalian festival. He keeps them always intoxicated and happy in a non-stop party. Which again, you want to make sure that your subjects are loved and kind of rocked into that false sense of confidence into your own rulership. He's focused completely on his image and his popularity. He values being liked over being feared. However, that is his one problem. No one necessarily respects the clown of the party. His casual leadership. Does he really take any responsibility in the movies? Does he take responsibility for his subjects? When those weird, crazy hyena things show up, does he take care of them? No, probably not. And unfortunately, we all know who's really pulling the strings. We all see Maurice. We all understand that he is the big mastermind behind this game. He is constantly pulling the authority figure of this foolish leader. His Machiavellian score? Unfortunately, only a 3 out of 10. Only a 3 out of 10 because really, Maurice, that little brown fuzzball, is the one pulling the strings behind this. So, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah, what about Mort?
that's Mort.
No. Mort's the little, he's a fucked up little guy.
Mort is a fucked up little guy.
Is it? Is it
No,
Mort?
Maurice is the advisor.
Maurice is the advisor. I just
Dragon's
wanted to know where
right.
Mort was in all
All right,
this.
let's see what's Mort.
What's the one
There we go. That's the one. We all know Mort's the one pulling the strings. Sorry, I apologize. I said Mort's the one pulling the strings. Really, like he's
No,
he's got
no,
the
No,
vibes.
you were right.
All right,
You're
let's see,
right.
let's see.
We let you up.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, so
Oh,
we know
no.
him, we love him. The dishonored Prince of the Fire Nation. what's he got going for him? He understands fear and power. Unfortunately, he spends most of the first part of the series chasing Aang to believe that his honor will restore him, which is his problem. He wants to maintain that legitimacy of air where he does not need to have that internal legitimacy. He needs to have that externalized from the Fire Nation granted upon him. He becomes a smart ruler. Eventually, he turns around. He turns and becomes his own authority. He understands the art of diplomacy and working with other nations. He forms alliances with other nations and understands the importance of legitimacy. He is the legitimate heir of the Fire Nation, and without that, the bear title that he's heir to probably wouldn't get as far necessarily. Unfortunately, he is a little too concerned with honor. Honor, morality, we understand that those are situational. He doesn't need to have those. As long as he's able to grasp it and hold the title of the Fire Lord, that is what matters most. So, all things considered, we give him a Machiavellian score of 8 out of 10. He's able to succeed to the throne. He's able to maintain and hold his title onto the second season. That was the end of the second series, right? That's a pretty long rule. It's pretty long, stable, and we got the job done. That's what we're getting there. Had a little bit of hiccup to start off with, but all rulers have to start somewhere. Okay. Oh, that's not this one. It's a different one. I think, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, I think it's this one.
He lightens up.
Okay.
Oh no!
We have the wonderful, the one and only, the Prince of Bel-Air. What do we have going for our wonderful Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? He adapts his environments. He's able to, and this happens a lot, where princes are moved from one environment to another. You have to be able to adapt to that. Moves from West Philadelphia, you know the song. There we go, born and raised. It moves in there. Will learns quickly how to navigate the elite society of a new port, of a new environment in
LA.
Yeah, in West Hollywood, in LA. He knows when to use deception. He's a really great liar. Like, he's really, really good at it. Whether he's faking or saying he's manipulating Carlton, he plays that game well. He's able to maneuver all of his people in his court very, very well. Unfortunately, sometimes emotions get the better of him, right? This is something that Machiavelli advises against because we want to make sure that our decisions are all made out of a moral or very calculated way of doing it, as opposed to an emotional or a kind of an emotional or impulsive way. So his Machiavellian score, we give him 7 out of 10. Not too bad. Not too bad. He's, at the end of the day, he's not the super highest performer in society, and he still needs to work on his emotions. Okay, here we go. Now, for our next Machiavellian, we have 2 more to do. This next one, I could not find a more perfect example of a Machiavellian rule. This was absolutely the top tier quality, and you'll see why in just a moment, based on the different things that we were talking about earlier.
Come on, man.
Yes, the one, the only Prince. He is indeed the Machiavellian master. He is able to beguile people with his presence. He has such an allure and a mystery about him, where you neither, you have to love him. There's no reason why not to love him. You don't need to fear him. You don't need to wonder what's behind that absolute firm visage of his. As artistic Socrates fought for ownership over his music, he changed his name as a symbol to escape. That is a level of Machiavellian conniving and loopholing that is top tier. Fear and adoration. He's beloved by fans. He's feared by the industry. You don't know what he's going to do next. He's maintained the perfect Machiavellian image. That the authorities fear him, the people love him. This is the perfect combination. His strategic mystique. He's used unpredictability as his power source. No one really knows what he's going to do next. Makes himself deliberately enigmatic to control the narrative. When you have control of the narrative, you have control over and posthumous control. This is probably where he knocked it out of the park with this one. Is that as soon he has a vault of unreleased musical secrets that are waiting to be controlled. People are still waiting on his bated breath on his legacy. No longer with us, but he still enthralls us with a power. And for that, he gets a perfect Machiavellian 10. There is one more, however, one more forgotten prince that we must not forget and what we see in our day-to-day lives. There we go. Of course, well, we have that. The last one is.
Oh.
Other than that,
I thought it was gonna be you.
here we go. One last. Despair. The one prince who chose California over the crown. He relinquished his control. He charmed the masses. He's again very, very popular appeal by the masses. He has legitimacy. He has a definite strength to him and behind him with his experience. He's master of the media. He's been on a number. He's got a Netflix show. He's got books and series. He's able to control the media to his will. Unfortunately, what really he loses a lot of points on. He gave up. He gave up the castle. He relinquished his throne, which again is the biggest Machiavellian flop. Other than that, because of his ability to maintain this kingly and princely image, he gets a Machiavellian score of 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's all good. All right. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you've learned something to apply to your own lives about the nature of power and people. And thank you so much for listening.